The wait is finally over. Lupin III vs. Cat's Eye is now available through Amazon Prime. This film features both the Lupin gang and the Cat's Eye group going after 3 sets of pictures, with an unknown third party attempting to intervene for some reason. I honestly enjoyed the film, as it was a bit of a love letter to Cat's Eye fans, as this has been their first appearance for quite some time. The film has its strengths and weaknesses, which I want to get into today, but first things first, a spoiler warning. If you haven't finished the film and would like to, then please stop watching right now, as I don't want to take the experience away from you and would want you to form your own opinion about the film before watching my video. Got it? Alright, cool. Since that is out of the way, let me get right into this. Was this movie good? I would say it was. This was a celebration between 2 iconic anime franchises, and there were plenty of moments where it felt that way. But on the other hand, the movie didn't really go within uncharted territory. Other times, you would think the movie would go a bit more above and beyond for this one-time crossover, but they really didn't, especially Nazis being involved once again. Although, it makes a bit more sense here, as Cat's Eye's father was a famous art collector during the Nazi regime. However, within Lupin, there's too much of that within Lupin the First, Lupin Part 2, and Mystery of Mamo being prime examples. As to why the Japanese think that utilizing the Nazis as a continuous villain in many different Lupin media, I have no clue. Come on TMS, make someone else the villain for once. Make Australians the villains next time. Their entire continent is filled with scary animals and monsters. It could work. Lupin III and the Italian Outback. TMS, give me a call. Overall, the film was quite predictable, and I would say that is the most disappointing aspect of this film. The fact that Hamburger came in randomly to divulge information about their father's paintings, knew the fact that they were Cat's Eye, and was spreading misinformation about Lupin were all red flags. Especially the last one, as I'm already used to Part 6 at this point. Also, the villain? I could see who it was even if I was blind. It was that bad. Very little was done to hide their true identity. Both Hamburger and D-Nice's revenge plots were nothing burgers and quite forgettable. All I remember is Nazis and revenge. Unlike Lupin the First, at least the villain somewhat won, and then Lupin and the gang had to work together to stop it. In this film, barely anything catastrophic happens at the end. As quickly as it came, it quickly went, which was like the idea of the verses. And dear God, I knew this would happen. If you've been a fan of the channel for some time now, you know what I'm going to say next. Aside from this special, Lupin vs. Detective Conan was the first crossover done with a separate cast of characters from a different anime, with 2 specials under its belt. My major criticism about these specials is the utilization of the verses within the title, as these specials felt anything but a versus between the 2 separate casts. Of course, it is just a crossover, but if you're going to use the term versus, which is defined as being opposed to one another, then have the 2 parties be against each other for some time. Initially in the film, the versus aspect seemed to shine a bit, as it was quite exciting to see the experience gap between the 2 groups, as it was noticeable that Lupin is the superior thief, as well as the idea that 2 sets of thieves going after the same paintings will cause heavy discourse sounds so amazing. And yet, not much of that happened, as it was shown very early on that Lupin was associated with the cat's father and was doing what he did to protect them. I will admit though, I do much prefer this versus than the Conan ones. And mind you, I do like Detective Conan, but I'll still be here silently hoping for Lupin III versus Kaito Kid someday. Lastly, my complaint about this film is regarding the animation. Nah, I'm just kidding. It's the portrayal or use of certain characters throughout the film. Pop's writing with Toshio felt off, and Goemon and Fujiko felt less integral, especially Goemon. My man got done dirty. Both characters being listed as additional voices within this film is not even funny. That's just not good. It bothers me the most about Goemon, as he is viewed as a core member of the Lupin gang, but a good chunk of his appearance in the beginning half of the film, he felt like an empty shell just standing around and adding barely anything. Why is he reduced to this? Goemon did not go through a fashion show in Part 6 for this. And with Fujiko, she does what she does best, double-crossing for her own gain and causing trouble. But they honestly could have done more with her than that. It would have been far more interesting to have her be the informant about Lupin in the beginning, instead of Hamburger, and losing that sense of hidden evil that we lost immediately in the film. And Pops being the strangest to me, as his relationship with Toshio was amazing, but also just weird to me. Toshio's admiration and love for Zenigata was amazing. The fact that he used Zenigata's handcuff trick to almost capture one of the cats was amazing. and openly admitting it was a trick from someone he deeply admired was just even more exciting. However, it felt like it suddenly turned into the don't meet your heroes scenario as Toshio got more and more weary with Zenigata and his antics. Pops is always crazy and willing to put his neck out to capture Lupin, but not to the point where he doesn't care about Toshio and keeps missaying his name repeatedly. It was funny the first 2 times, but it got so old so quickly. And what is more upsetting is that although this is in the past, Zenigata wouldn't do that to Yada or Ari, so why Toshio? This honestly isn't Zenigata's best portrayal when working with others. However, despite my gripes with some of the interactions and chemistry between the two groups as I just mentioned, I would say that this movie is very special with having them work so well with each other. I feel as though the Cats crew bounce off one another with the Lupin crew, like I with Lupin and Toshio and Zenigata, despite my earlier gripes. Toshio slowly realizing how driven Zenigata is as he breaks and enters into D-Nice's building was quite funny, since it's a sense of realism from a cop and not this ICPO officer who has done so much stuff in his career. I and Lupin's tender relationship and teamwork was also quite cute, since the misunderstandings fade away and trust begins to build. Same goes for Jigen, Goemon, and Hitomi and Rui. And thanks to the chemistry of these beloved characters, that means the characters themselves are enjoyable to see in action. Especially Cat's Eye for what felt like a very long time since their last appearance being in the City Hunter Private Eyes film, which is about 4 years ago. They absolutely deserved this comeback, and I really loved seeing them once again, with this film being absolutely worth the watch just for that alone. Of course, the Lupin crew is always wonderful to see with their latest wackiest adventures. There is a lot to love with the Lupin crew alone, but more so with Cat's Eye being right by their side. Although this film is a celebration of both franchises and didn't do anything special with the plot, the obvious difference here is the fact that this movie uses 3D CGI, a different style than anything Lupin has ever been in before. And honestly, I really enjoyed this new style, although jank at times for sure. It did very little to take my focus off the film while I was watching it, which I was expecting to happen a lot more often when I initially saw the trailer, but I went in with an open mind and came out satisfied with this different piece of Lupin media. I personally wouldn't mind seeing more of this in other Lupin projects too, although I know others may disagree. Even when the film didn't use 3D CGI, it still looked really good with its 2D animations. And then, with that being said, let's look at this opening because oh my god, this opening went so hard. I felt my skin immediately clench up and just give me goosebumps, dear god. It was jaw-droppingly gorgeous with the simplicity and use of colors and different items to represent different characters and crews. This is definitely one of the best Lupin openings around, especially since it is a sharp contrast to what came before it, Lupin the First did, the other 3D CGI film. It used gears as the main set piece of the opening while also being cartoonish yet modern. While this opening feels more similar to how some of Part 2's and Part 3's second opening utilized color, characters, and symbolism with a black background, which makes sense due to the era of where this film takes place. This opening makes you want to go back and watch it repeatedly for all the neat stuff and possibly hidden details that are hidden within this opening, along with the beautiful animation and art used within the opening, and my god, the music. Listen, my name isn't Musical Joker for nothing because I love music, and this soundtrack absolutely slaps and is one of the best things about this film. Yuji Ono, the composer of Lupin III, and Kazuo Otani, a composer of Cat's Eye, both returned to compose this soundtrack with the help of Fox Capture Plan, a fantastic jazz instrumental trio band. Please check them out when you have a chance. And Henri, singing the new vocals of the film's theme song, which is the very same singer who sung the anime opening for Cat's Eye back in 1983. An all-star music team coming together to create a banger soundtrack, some of which also has unreleased music from several parts like parts 4 and 5, with reused music also coming from those parts and more, with the same being done with Cat's Eye's original anime soundtrack. Overall, a fantastic listen and a definite highlight for the film for me. Please, take the time to listen to the soundtrack as it is absolutely worthwhile, as I couldn't help but jam to it while writing the script, since it is currently available on all streaming platforms. Lupin music never fails, and the same goes for Cat's Eye, so please go listen to it right now, like right this instant, right now, go. Last but not least though, I want to give praise to all of the voice casts and accessibility options available for this film. I adore both the English and Japanese voice casts, as that is what I grew up watching. The fact that this film dropped with so many dub languages from around the world allowed any Lupin and Cat's Eye fans to enjoy this film. Spanish, English, Korean, Japanese, Chinese, Portuguese, and a few more, with there being plenty of subtitle options for dubbed versions not available at this time, which is absolutely outstanding and deserves praise for the teams that worked on this and the voice actors who worked their butt off to bring this awesome piece of history to us. For that, I am beyond grateful. Overall, despite my complaints, I still enjoyed this film quite a bit as it features two franchises I really enjoy. I hope after all of this, Cat's Eye gets a remake so that new fans from this can go ahead and watch the Kisugi sisters' adventure to uncover the mystery behind their missing father. Heck, even I thought there may be a chance since City Hunter shown them off too, but nothing came of it. I will continue to hold out hope though, since if Lum can do it, then so can Cat's Eye. And as for the Lupin gang, I'm excited to see what else they bring to the table in the near future. Tell me everyone if you enjoyed the film and your thoughts down below. And until next time everyone, farewell.